Hi, I'm Chuck Samikian,
And I'm John Tolheimer. Welcome to the HR Stories Podcast,
where there's a lesson in every story. John, we got a couple of questions. I know you might have one or two from your class today.
Yeah.
I've got a few here. You know, the thing about these questions is there's not straight up easy answers. There could be some variables. So you want me to shoot with a couple, or you want to shoot one?
No, you go ahead and shoot.
All right. Question one, Tanya. Listener Tanya. We have a guy, okay, she says guy. How about a person? Guy person on our team who
it's always a guy.
It's a guy. Guy calls out sick on the Mondays after a holiday weekend. Always calls out Monday after a holiday weekend. Can we ask for a doctor's note even if our policy doesn't usually require one?
That's an interesting question. First of all, most holidays are on Monday. I'm just going to say that right there. So Tanya, check your facts. Wow, that was just mean. I was mean. Go ahead, slap me, Chuck. No, so it's interesting, right? As we see this happen a lot of time, and it's not like, oh, it's a holiday and they're taking off. It may be like, well, we know the first Monday of every month they're taking off, or right? And people get frustrated with that. And I kind of coach managers and supervisors. And I'm like, well, let's talk about your frustration. Why are you frustrated? Well, because I need coverage and they're not going to come, and I put them on the schedule and they don't show up. And so, okay, well, that's a legitimate reason, but you do, right? The company gives sick time or pedo time. How that employee use it, unless it's defined, if it's not defined, then they can use it any way they want. And I would be like, hey, guy, if you're not going to be here on Monday, you're going to take a pedo day. Let me know so I can get the right scheduling.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So,
I don't know.
Well, you know, I just take the dramatic answer of, yes, Tanya, you can do it, but you got to be consistent. You know, it is weird sometimes asking for a doctor's note, especially for one day. But when you start doing it for one day, you got to do it for everyone. And so, you know, you don't want to resent discrimination claim. You start noticing patterns. Maybe you update your attendance policy. Maybe you allow for documentation requests when absences are excessive or suspicious. But singling someone out it can get a little tricky unless there's like some sort of justification. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and again, right? I mean, so every holiday, there's 10 holidays in the year, and they're taking the Monday off afterwards or the Tuesday off afterwards. It's against policy. It's not against policy. It's frustrating. If that's where they want to burn their time, then it's fine, right? That's where they're going to burn their time. And when they use it all up, they use it all up.
Or you call them in, like you said, and hey, let's talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely sit down and just, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Are you going to, is this going to be a thing? Are you going to be off? Because honestly, if you're going to be off, I'm going to schedule somebody else in your place.
Yeah.
And if they do a better job than you over the long term, well, I'm just going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. But.
No, how about requesting it? Just request it so we all are on the same page. So,
yeah.
All right, good.
Wait. So I have one other thing. So when I worked at a company, we had a policy that said you could not take off the day before or the day after the holiday.
Oh, right.
So you wouldn't get the holiday pay if that's what you did.
Yeah, and they're still out there. Every company I work for has that.
Yeah, and maybe that's what she needs to do. Change the policy. Say, hey, if you want to get paid for the holiday, you can't. Again, there's exceptions to that, like if it's a vacation or something like that. But if it's just you call out sick, then you're not going to get paid for the holiday.
Right. You have to work your scheduled day before and scheduled day afterwards.
Yeah, after the holiday.
Unless you were on PTO or vacation. Okay, great. Yeah. All right. Question 2. My coworker keeps bringing really smelly food to the break room. Is that an HR thing. Maybe, yeah.
Is
Of
that
course,
an
it always
HR
has to be an
thing?
HR thing.
Is
Anyways,
that an HR thing?
a few people have complained, but here's the twist: it's part of their culture.
Yeah, I
Can't
figured
you
that way
do
too.
something?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so right. So
Ha 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 ha.
that is a good twist. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, yeah, it's tricky, right? You got that
Right.
balancing act between workplace harmony
Right.
and
And so I'm trying to
respecting.
think of our role in HR or our role as a manager in there, right? Because I think
Um,
sometimes people get upset in the workplace. What did you say last time? Like 2 episodes ago? Sam sent me a text on it. Let me see what you said. All right, you make a joke about me beeping out grown ass adults.
oh, right. Be grown ass adults.
Oh, right, yeah. So you say in this, like in right, and so they're grown ass adults. Can't they deal with this on their own? Can't they have a conversation saying, "Oh gosh, that's really strong. It bothers me. Can you get a better container?" And so, but I think that culture thing's interesting. What if we say, "Oh, you can't bring in your food, but somebody else brings in fish,"
Yeah, it's so
and that's
tricky.
okay, right? And
Ah,
so I think it's an opportunity to have a cultural, sensitive culture conversation.
I mean, the person that there's always that person that burns the popcorn. There's always a person that decides to reheat the fish in the microwave. You know,
That's
yeah.
me.
Look, I gotta tell you, it is. It's tough, right? You got to talk about general break room etiquette, keeping shared spaces clean, labeling food, that sort of thing. Um, but you have to be very careful not to frame this as a problem with someone's culture.
Right.
Maybe because that could be a discrimination complaint. I don't know. Maybe instead of saying, "Oh, your food smells bad," is that what you people eat?
Oh yeah.
Hey, everybody, we want to keep the break room welcoming for everyone. I mean, I would say, John, you could probably tell the person, say, hey, I just want to let you know, without taking any repercussions on them, but make them aware. Say, look, I just want to let you know the food that you are eating. And I understand maybe maybe you make it at home, maybe put extra spices in it. I don't know, but we have had some complaints about people finding it to be very overwhelming, very overwhelming. So, maybe if there's a way that you can bring it in a sealed container, or maybe there's a ventilation thing that you can do. I don't know. I just it is a tough one, but there's no straight one answer. But I would bring the person and say, hey, I just want to let you know. Sometimes many times people are like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. Let me work on that. Let me do this or that. But no real straight answers on the HR Stories podcast for this one, other than it depends.
Well, it depends. I mean, again, right? I think some of that conversation has to happen at employee to employee level. Um, and then I think kind of jumping in and just being like, hey, so just let's make sure these are the rules. Let's make sure we do that. Because for
Yep.
one person's smell might be somebody else's. Oh, that's delicious. I love that smell. It's so fantastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Okay.
So
All right. Another question, John. We're thinking about going fully remote. Can we lower someone's pay if they move to a cheaper area?
it's interesting, right? Because this came up. So this came up during COVID, and I think it was one of the big tech giants out there. I don't remember which one. They were like, "Go work wherever you want. It's fine. We want you to go work wherever you want." And then they're like, "But if you go to Springfield, Nebraska, we're going to cut your salary down by $100,000." And they're like, "What? I'm still doing the same amount of work." Um, and I do think there's a different cost of living, right? And so if I go to onet.org, right, online, onetonline.org, and I look up what a HR manager makes in San Francisco compared to an HR manager in Springfield, Nebraska, there's going to be a big difference.
Mhm.
And if I'm hiring somebody, if I was hiring somebody in Springfield, Nebraska, it would be a lot cheaper than paying for somebody in San Francisco. And so you can do it. The question is how you do it.
Yeah, it's tricky. It can be tricky. You can generally adjust pay for cost of living changes as long as it's not discriminatory and the employees. And this is the big thing with HR is communication, communication. So notifying the employees in advance.
But the question then becomes, well, let's say everyone's going remote, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going remote. We're in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm sending everyone remote. One of my workers goes from Nashville, Tennessee to New York City, and the cost of living is more.
Yeah, yeah,
Is the company going to pay them more?
yeah. I think,
And the company's not. I can
yeah,
guarantee the company's not. The company's going to be like, no, choose a cheaper place to live.
yeah,
Right.
that's
And
true.
so I again, right.
Yeah.
What messages are you trying to send?
No, I got you. So my advice is just don't mess with it. But if you have to, document the reason, communicate transparently, and really consider if the savings are worth the hit to that culture and retention.
And the other thing is be consistent, right? And so we have to do that consistently. Don't do it. Don't do it. And because somebody's older, say, well, gosh, I know they have a family. I can't cut their salary down because it's going to impact them. Well, I'll do it for the young people, right? That's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
And vice versa, or ethnic background, or any of the protected classes, you have to be consistent across the board, which is, I think, a message of our HR Stories podcast on there.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have a question you want to throw out there, or I may have a bonus question if you don't?
I got a couple questions. Let me pull them up. So this was interesting. I don't know the answer, and I haven't had a chance to research it because it was from my class today. And so if you don't know the answer, we can just kind of talk about it. So one of the persons in my class, we were talking about FMLA, and we were talking about FMLA leave and who we could take leave for under FMLA. And so in this case, right, immediate family members, right? So that's parents, spouse, and child, right? Immediate family. Well, this person said, would I be able to take leave to care for my sister that I am a conservatory for? So I'm responsible for my sister.
Okay, so I don't understand conservatory, but
So
first of all,
so they're legally responsible for taking care of their sister.
yeah, I guess if their sister has a medical issue, right? Did was that part of the question, or is it just like
That was not? But yes, so there was an issue. Like so they had to take, that person had a serious health condition.
Oh, sure.
Right. And so could they then, right? So this is a sister. He's the legal guardian.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Okay. There is something in the law called loco parentis that sometimes people will pull out in dealing with FMLA. Loco parentis. I think it means in place of parents.
Yeah.
So if this person is legally, and they can prove it through whatever means that they are the parental person for this sister, then yes, absolutely. So
yeah, I think, again, right. This was just a quick question in the middle of my class, so I didn't get all the details. But I think you're right. I think local parentis would cover that, and that's what I would apply. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then if anybody else asks, I'm like, well, they're the legal guardian. They're going to take care of that in that case. And so kind of doing that. All right, I got another question. If you're up for it.
Oh, sure. Let's go.
Okay, are you ready? This is a simple. I think this will be simple for you. I think it's going to be a yes and no for you. But there's another question from one of my classes today. So if a person is off from work for the day and answers emails or does something from home, and they were not asked to do it, did it on their own, do we have to pay them?
It depends if it was de minimis. But it happens every once in a while. I'll have like maybe HR coordinator, my Yenny, hey Yenny, will go ahead and answer an email, and she'll send something to me. And it was like, it's late at night and maybe someone called her, and she'll just send me a quick email. Technically, yes. I would pay her. I would tell her, look, I gotta, how long did it take you? 5-10 minutes, that sort of thing. I would pay her. She shouldn't be looking at her emails anyways, but I think
is
sometimes
that a subtle
employees,
message you're sending, Yenny?
yeah, well, sometimes employees, especially since
Yeah,
we're a 24/7 operation, may call late at night because they only know her number
right,
and she speaks Spanish, and they say, hey, blah 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 or whatever,
right.
and she
Yeah,
may
yeah, yeah,
send me a text and say, hey, so and so wants to talk to you tomorrow, just letting you know. I mean, if she talked for a long time with this person, yeah, but if it's just, hey, I'm just referring this on to you, I mean, I think legally and technically we got to pay every employee for every minute. Okay.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so it just depends how, but there is a provision about de minimis. Hey, hey, Yenny, sorry to bother you at home. Where did you put the keys to the
yeah,
filing cabinet?
yeah,
And she
yeah,
says, oh, I put a filing cabinet. That's de minimis.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think, and again, if they're doing work, right? They're answering emails, they're phone calls. I had a executive assistant who was an hourly employee, and she would go home at night and do by maybe 90 minutes of work, and
Oh, right.
we'd be like, we have to pay you. You have to. Like, we didn't know how much she was working. We're like, you need to write it down and tell us so we can make sure that we're paying you for this time. Oh no, we're busy. The budget's tight. I don't want to worry about it. I was like, no, we need to pay you
Yeah.
because here's right. And we want to take that as a gift. We love that they're working all there. But here's the problem, that relationship may sour over time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, well, I did all this work for you at night and I
Oh,
never
yeah.
got paid. You have no argument in court.
Yeah. Well,
So,
these are great. These were great questions, great topics, great insight, folks. You've been listening to the HR Stories podcast Q&A edition, where we answer your questions, and these also make great shorts on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see John and Chuck actually in action, what we look like, our handsome, great selves with wonderful hair, I guess,
Chuck has a hair
then
problem.
yeah, I don't know. People tell me I got great hair. I don't know. So recently, like I told you. Anyways, listen, check out our YouTube channel. Uh, check us out, team at hrstories.com, and check out our new book, The Ultimate Guide to HR Checklist Edition, now available on Amazon.
Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. Thank you for listening, everyone.